We're breaking down the Lollapaooza video that you guys saw on Tuesday. I have to say this is the most excited I've been for a video in a while. I was so excited to create this, and I was so excited to just flat out shoot Lollapaooza. Now this edit was totally for me. This is just because I wanted to go out of my comfort zone, use this footage for something, and just make something that will live forever. Here we go, let's watch it. This opening shot, as you can see right here, well, there's a lot going on. Let's kind of scrub through it. Actually, before we scrub through it, if you want to watch the full video, it's on my channel. It was posted 2 days ago, so go back, watch that. We're not going to watch it totally through here together. All right, continuing. So those first two shots, there's a lot going on here. Let's kind of go frame by frame. So I started pretty wide. I started with this shot showing his whole body. This is the lead singer from Glass Animals, and you can go frame by frame to see I separated him from the background. How did I do that? I used the rotoscoping tool in After Effects. This is a tool that I've only used a handful of times in the past, but it's the easiest way that I've found to mask out a subject, especially something like a person that's moving out of a frame. Now, is it perfect? Absolutely not. Is it hard to do? Yeah, it's hard to fine tune and make it really look good. Even if we go frame by frame, you're gonna realize it's not perfect here. This isn't perfect. My rotoscoping job, I need to get better at that, but this one looks pretty good, especially as you watch it in real time. So you see, he sticks his arms up and that logo goes behind him. Whenever I originally did this edit, well, I only separated him and I didn't have the logo in there. Then watching it, I was like, man, I need to find a way to incorporate the Lollapaooza logo because not everybody knows that this was Lollapaooza. So I found this logo online and I incorporated it into the first shot. The first thing that anybody would see whenever they started watching this video was this crazy effect with the subject separating from the background, and not only that, but the logo going behind them while the subject's still moving. I find that a lot of the times whenever you see masking out of a subject or something along those lines, it's done in a much different way. It's done whenever they pull a single frame and then mask that out, because then they only have to mask once. Right here, this was a 60 frames per second clip, so I mean, I had to do it probably about 60 times. So I had to mask the subject out every single frame, but that's what rotoscoping kind of does for you, is it does it for you. It tracks the subject, then you just have to fine tune it. So going into the next shot, it's the same kind of effect. Now this is the lead singer from Glass Animals once again, and you can see as I go frame by frame, I separated him and then keyed the background and him to match at the very end, as well as having that Lollapaooza logo again. Now, I put an effect on this Lollapaooza logo because there was a sign up top right here that said Dreamland, I believe. It was just part of their set. And so I replaced that with the Lollapaooza logo. Now, is it perfect? No, but I wanted it to pop. I didn't really want the Lollapaooza sign to look like it was there. This was actually a photo that I took. This was not a video. So I added some blurring, added some masking, and you can see it helped it blend it. I also put a little flash transition, which you'll see I used a lot throughout this edit, very subtly, just a white flash transition just to blend these two, and then had the same effect. Now, let's move on. What the heck was going on there? That was a lot of fire, and where did it come from? So I originally had this fire shot of YG. This is how the shot actually is. The fire blew up in front of him, and I wanted to isolate that fire somehow so that I could incorporate it into the edit elsewhere, maybe as a transition. So I also knew that since it was Lollapaooza, we know it's in Chicago. This building is one of the most iconic buildings in Chicago, so I wanted to include it. I isolated that fire, just crushing those blacks and then using a screen blend mode, and I put it over top of this sunset shot. I pulled a lot of those colors out of the sunset, really punched those blacks so that it would be high contrast, and then brought that sky back a lot. So then you see it goes into this shot of YG. I just put a little key zoom with a little bit of a rotation keyframe on it. Just spices up the edit a little bit. I didn't want it to only be the shot of him. I thought that was kind of boring. So I went ahead and I scale zoomed it in a little bit with that rotation. These fireworks, this was a cool one for me. This was a cool thing for me to do. I knew I had a wide shot of fireworks and I also had a tight shot of fireworks. I had a shot with the 70-200, which is the one that you'll see right here. Me following this one firework up right here. So I knew I had that. And then I also knew I had this wide shot from Kygo, which is probably one of the coolest shots I've seen. Look, right here. This shot was at Kygo, probably the only shot I got at Kygo, but I was pumped. 8K 24. Chef's kiss to this shot. It was gorgeous, but I wanted to include it. So how did I do that? I blended it with that one. I used that burst from the firework. That was actually a fake sound effect. I pulled a lot of sound effects that you hear throughout this. We'll talk about the sound design at the end, but then I wanted to show Lollapaooza. Again, this is just a hyperlapse that I took throughout it. A lot of elements going on right here. But I knew that I had the potential to use these fireworks and actually blend it pretty well because of this transition. So that right there, this transition, there was this bright spot of the fireworks right in the middle with that burst into this sun flare in front of the lead singer of Glass Animals. Boom, right there. Perfect transition. Two different elements. This is me just knowing what I shot. This comes back to the perks of me editing what I shot. If somebody else shot this or edited it, they wouldn't have known that this footage was really here. So I knew it was there, so I was able to make this transition. So this goes into the first segment of artists. I included 3 artist segments with their specific music into the edit. First one you see is Corday. So using a lot of sound design here, it goes, and then his music hits. So the music hits and then you know it's his part. Now, if this is your first time watching this video, you probably assume that this is the only song that I use all throughout the edit. Well, that's just not the case. What I did was I used his song for him, and then as you'll see, I used 2 different artists and their songs in the edits. So that's another rotoscope. As you see right here, he is separated from the background, and I made it so you can notice the effect. So he's a little bit off of the background. And then also, I put a little flash there, so then it's really separated. Once the flash happens, then he's lined up with that background. And then just to pair it with another flash, just to maintain the continuity. And then you heard this song change there into the Glass Animals song. So this was probably the coolest concert that I shot during the whole festival at Sunset. Glass Animals, super vibey music, just looks super good. And then that right there, sound design, sound design, sound design, money. I'm super pumped about how that turned out, and I wanted a real punch to whenever I separate him and the Kid Laroi, speed ramping that shot of him holding his guitar up and adding a sound effect there. Well, it was just perfect, and I'm really happy with how that turned out. And then going right into a different style with the Kid Laroi. We haven't really seen fast cuts yet. So I do the same. Well, I had shots on all of those to show the shots that I got from the Kid Laroi. And then this is probably my favorite one that I got of him. And you can see him and then boom, Joey Pusateri. We kept it simple. I didn't want to make it super long just because I didn't have a ton of time to spend on the edit to make it a 1 minute long edit. This was for myself and I'm pumped with how it turned out. Now, as you probably saw, there was a lot of photos that I edited as well. Totally separate from this, but let's go back and let's talk sound design. So how did I get the sound design in the first place? Get these whooshes, get these firework sounds, fire sounds. They're all from Epidemic Sound. This is a service that I use a lot. You've probably heard of it before. This isn't sponsored, but it's just where I find my best sound effects. So that's where I found all these aside from the music, of course. So let's see how I really started this. There's a punch here. Listen. So it's a poof, and then I actually pulled a sound off of YouTube that's just MGK going, "Hello, Lollapaooza." And you could probably hear that a little bit, but I wanted that sound to go along with the Lollapaooza titles that are going on here. A lot of whooshes, a lot of punches going on in this intro. The well, that's fire. Wanted that to go along with fire for the transition, really spice that up, really make the sound create where you are. I actually, for the first time ever, did the sound design before I did the video edit. For some reason, I was feeling super inspired to make my own track. I knew I was probably going to incorporate some sort of music from the artists that were in it, but I went through and I made this track with a lot of whooshes, fire, fireworks, a lot of different elements, and then edited from that. One thing that you've heard me talk about before is I don't really like cutting only to a song. It just gets boring to me, and I think there's better ways to edit. Sound design is so big, and getting those natural elements can just really upgrade your edit. You heard that firework, the poof, and that went with the so it was like the sizzle of the firework after it exploded. Once again, just pull that offline. Just rip the songs off of YouTube. Now, I'm not trying to monetize this video. This is really just a portfolio piece for me, and I thought it would be out of place to find a non-copyright song to use for this, so went ahead, used the Corday song, used the Glass Animals song, used the Kid Laroi and Justin Bieber song. Money. So the whoosh, once again, a little sound effect, a little sound element to separate his section from the Glass Animals part, and also go right along with those flares that you see. That whoosh, another flare that lines right up with that in a speed ramp, so it's real time, and then whenever you raise the guitar with that punch zoom, we slow it down. Goes along with the sound effect and just is money. Whether you put the sound effect in first or after, it's just such a perfect way to make your edit stand out. It could be lined up with a song. I could have just put the songs with a little crossfade in, but it wouldn't be as good. You gotta separate them, you gotta get creative. So then I put that riser just for my name to come up at the end. That is my favorite concert edit to date. Now I'm speaking highly of my own work because this is something that I am super proud of. This is my Lollapaooza video, and I thank you for watching. Maybe I'll see you next year whenever I put out more content surrounding Lollapaooza, and I will be very, very excited to share that with you. Who knows who I'll be shooting for, but hopefully this is an every year thing moving forward. Anyways, throw me a subscription if you enjoyed the video. Go back, watch this full video. Let me know what you think I could have done better, different things that you would have done differently, and maybe I'll make a video about my thoughts on those. Anyways, I will see you in the next video. I appreciate you watching, and keep killing it. Goodbye.